Hey everybody, welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Pow Group. It's Saturday, August 20th. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. Going to get started with today's live stream. Going to go over Charlie Bowman, the CEO of HEXO Corp. He had another interview in short order, so we're a little spoiled, but we can be spoiled some more. Hopefully we'll see a power interview at some point soon. I know a lot of people sent emails, and thank you very much. I appreciate that on behalf of POW, asking to get that interview at some point soon. So that was pretty cool. I think we probably had about 30 to 50 people email. So that's pretty astonishing. But once again, thank you very much. Before we get started though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you're new, you can subscribe and tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos. Gonna get right into it here today, and we'll bring up the article. I'll give my commentary and my thoughts and opinions, but let us know where you're tuning in from in the live chat, and let's go. Writing a Canadian MJ company Q&A with HEXO CEO Charlie Bowman, and this was by MJ Biz Daily. You can see here by Solomon Israel on August 19th, 2022. So we'll go through this as quickly as possible. So MJ producer, HEXO Corp, Canadian MJ producer, HEXO Corp. Thought that said cannabis twice, but spent more than 1.2 billion Canadian dollars, 935 million to acquire three other producers in 2021. Redecan was 925 million, Zenabis was 235 million, and 48 North was 50 million. After those acquisitions, HEXO found itself, I'm just going to make this bigger as well so everybody can see it. After those acquisitions, HEXO found itself deeply in debt, and obviously they paid some with cash, 400 million in cash, the rest in stock. But obviously they were going to have some debt. If they didn't have the cash on hand, then obviously they were going to have some debt. I don't think that was anything that anybody didn't see coming. But the thing with that is the fact that it was the terms of the debt, right? It was the monthly redemptions that were killing the stock. And personally, I think it was a type of poison pill that was issued to avoid a takeover. And that, the market cap got to like 100 million, and they still didn't get taken over, right? So I think it was executed successfully. With a ravaged share price that endangered its NASDAQ listing, we know that they recently just got an extension, so they have until January 25th. A lot of people are still asking me if they're going to do a reverse split. I don't think so. I think it's going to be, I think they're going to easily get back above $1. And like I said, they have 6 months, so a little bit less than that now, but January 25th is the date to be looking for in terms of gaining recompliance. But essentially they just need to trade above $1 for 10 consecutive days in a row, and then they'll get back into compliance. Its auditor also warned that the company had a going concern and might not be able to stay afloat. And an activist investor demanding change in the wake of years of quarterly losses. That was Adam Arviv and friends. But founding CEO Sebastian St. Louis left HEXO in 2021, and he's been nowhere to be found. Like, we haven't even heard from him. I was making a joke in the POW Group community to POW Group private members. Maybe JP Morgan has him locked in their basement, blindfolded and handcuffed because he was getting too big too quickly. And Tilray wanted to take control of HEXO. He didn't want to have anything to do with it, and they were chasing HEXO for months. Even the CEO of Tilray said that. So I think the Wall Street banks just said, we got to get him out of there, so we'll lock him in the basement. We haven't heard from him since. So anyway, I'm just poking to have a little fun. But Scott Cooper, who was he was an executive for about 12 years with Molson Coors. I think he came in just to facilitate the Tilray deal. Stepped down in April. HEXO's latest CEO, Charlie Bowman, who is American, has previous experience in the specialty chemical industry. Bowman started with HEXO in February 2021 as general manager of U.S. operations before becoming the chief operating officer in January 2022. He was appointed CEO in late April. He leads a much smaller HEXO, the Quebec-based company, listed 1,277 employees as of July 2021, and Bowman said it now has 570 employees in Canada and the U.S. And one of the employees, Jennifer Smith, said that I was super close to having an interview with HEXO, but she obviously, as part of that downsizing, a lot of people were speculating that, she got let go because she let some information slide about the CPG partner or what have you. But I doubt it. There was 1,277 employees. Now there's 570. So I think they were just cutting costs, right? They had a bunch of SG&A, right? Sales, general, and administration. And I think we're going to see a huge decrease in MG&A over the next couple of quarters. So now down drastically, and that's including the U.S. as well. Earlier this year, the company signed an alliance with competitor Tilray, with Tilray acquiring HEXO's debt in exchange for an option to take significant stake in HEXO and cooperation between the two. Bowman doesn't rule out an eventual acquisition by Tilray HEXO lost $1 billion in the first 9 months of fiscal year through April 30th and has withdrawn financial guidance for investors. Your strategic plan includes cost cutting, streamlining, and maintaining disciplined pricing. Can you elaborate on that plan? Charlie said there was a debt structure that was unsustainable. That's now been addressed with the Tilray debt purchase that went through. There was also excessive amount of SG&A, selling, general, and administrative expenses, what I just mentioned, and third-party consultants that were on board. We've done a tremendous job in getting those under control. There wasn't a real clear pathway to get to EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization positive, and then from there to actually start driving into earnings. So the first thing that I had to do was actually establish some sort of bedrock, look at what the foundation of the company could really grow from and where it had distinct competitive advantages. For us, it's around cultivation and some very unique products that were in the market, like the Ready Straight Edge pre-roll from Redecan. And we know that, I think that was why Tilray really wanted to take control of HEXO, because I think they had a competing offer. They were the ones who offered Redecan $1.4 billion. They turned it down, went with HEXO for $925 million, likely because it was more cash, and then the Tilray was probably mostly all stock, right? But some of our brands, like the value brand Original Stash, had some incredible brand loyalty, and that still has a good loyalty brand today, in my opinion, and very good products. But we had to right size the organization. Instead of trying to put 14 or 15 brands, we had to lock it down to 4, and then you just shred the rest and you move fast. And I think that a lot of the 48 North stuff is going to be, they're just going to be using that specifically for topicals and CPG partnerships. A lot of people are saying that those strains aren't available, but I think they'll keep a few strains, just like what they did with Zenabis, filing for predator protection. The reason why they did that is because they got Redecan after Zenabis, and there was a lot of overlap, and Redecan gave them a lot of what Zenabis was going to give them, and they didn't know they were going to acquire Redecan when they were acquiring Zenabis. So they kept like the ultra sour strain right from Zenabis, and they're going to, sell off those assets and go through predator protection, right? And that's going to help with SG&A. That's going to help with keeping costs low. So we can expect some of that with 48 North as well. But at one point, HEXO had in excess of 405 net tons of capacity on MJ, which was more than we needed. The plants weren't operating efficiently. As a result of that, we had to bring those facilities down so that you could still maintain your market share and your leading position. And we know they're number one in Canada in terms of rec sales, right? But what you also had to do is get to where you had your cost of goods and manufacturing down to where you could actually start turning cash out of the operations as opposed to burning cash. The second element is around ensuring that we had the debt structure to where it was more favorable. In addition to that, it also freed up cash to actually operate the business. So before you were CEO of HEXO, HEXO bought 48 North, Zenabis, Redecan. Since then, has HEXO been struggling financially? Since HEXO's been struggling financially, has Zenabis filing for creditor protection? In hindsight, were those 3 acquisitions a mistake? He said, well, you never walk into somebody else's shoes and then judge them. You just have to take and look at where we are now. And you can look in the rear view mirror, and hindsight's always 20/20, but maybe this should have been done. Maybe it should have been. I think you can do that for just about anything. I would agree, right? Hindsight's always 20/20. What Zenabis brought to the table was uniqueness, and we had that inside of Redecan, right? So there was some overlap there. They didn't know they were going to acquire Redecan when they acquired Zenabis. So it makes sense to put Zenabis into bankruptcy protection, and it's going to have a really good home when it comes out. And like I said, they keep the strains and things like that. We know that they just released the HEXO Straight Edge pre-rolls with Ultra Sour and Gelato, right? So obviously keeping those strains. And I think the same thing's going to happen with 48 North, but we're going to see 48 North go away, and it'll be specifically for topicals and CPG partnership opportunities. The uniqueness of the Redecan brand, some of the areas around topicals and skincare for 48 North had the real synergy with those. Redecan Ready pre-rolls are the leading product in every province, in every market, whether it's male, female. It is the preferred pre-roll to be purchased. So with that outstanding purchase, as well as cultivation techniques that we were able to pick up, not just in HEXO, but in 48 North and in Redecan. You never know what the mindset was when people went into these acquisitions and into the acquisitions and the buying. But I can say for the integration and the value we're bringing out, we've carved out those bits and are unique and give us a competitive advantage. And that's what we're focusing on, right? Definitely gives them a bit of a moat there because they have the best technology, and a lot of a lot of their competitors are struggling to keep up, right? We know Oxy came out with a straight edge, the back 40s, but they're still stuck at 0.35 grams per pre-roll. HEXO upped it to 0.4 grams for the same price. Now they have the Readies Plus, which is infused, right? So they are way ahead of the times, in my opinion. But HEXO currently owns a number of non-operational facilities in Canada. We've seen a trend where the largest Canadian MJ companies have had to sell off unnecessary facilities for less than they spent. Should we expect more discount MJ facility sales from HEXO in the future? Great question. We've taken the impairments. We've realigned the balance sheet, so the balance sheet is now clean. That is important to know here. We do have the facilities that are for sale, but we'll get our fair market value out of those facilities and be able to move on, just as we also have been able to right size our facilities to where cost of goods have gone down. So this is looking real good, in my opinion. The amended debt purchase deal with Tilray puts Tilray in a position to take 48% stake in HEXO, which looks a lot like it could acquire HEXO down the line. Are you preparing for that possibility? We're not operating as one company. There's rules of engagement to ensure that things aren't shared. There's also firewalls up in several different areas. They are an investor into our business, right? And just because they're investing doesn't mean they have to take over the company, right? Apple received a $150 million investment from Microsoft in 1997. It was basically said that Microsoft saved Apple from bankruptcy. A lot of people probably thought that they were going to buy Apple back then too, but they didn't, right? And even HEXO has been saying that they're operating as two different companies. The CEO of Tilray, Irwin Simon, said that it's important that the two companies remain public, independent companies, and it's important they draw the line there. So I'm of the thinking, I personally don't think that they're going to merge the companies together. Is it a possibility? Yes, I'm ready. I think there's a 50-50 chance, right? 50% they don't merge, 50% chance they do. Doesn't matter. We don't need to, we don't need to spend too much time on that, just going crazy thinking about it. We just don't know, right? So the thing is just to be prepared for both scenarios. How am I preparing for both of those scenarios? I own both Tilray and HEXO in my portfolio, HEXO being the biggest position in my portfolio. Tilray is a great company. This is important here. Tilray is a great company. They're a brand company. We're not a brand company. We're an MJ company. We're a cultivation company. We have some really strong brands, but we're not a brand company. And I did a post here on the YouTube page. I said, if you are a real MJ fan, there is no way you shouldn't be cheering for HEXO. HEXO is as pure as it gets. 100% of their revenue comes from MJ, pure MJ products, nothing else. And then I quoted that quote that I just read. And he also goes on to quote something else that's really important here as well, which we'll bring up here pretty much right now. So we're not a brand company. We focus on what we do best, and that is in the areas of cultivation. That's in getting our operations to where it's right sized, so it's throwing off cash. From the standpoint of taking a look at new products that are coming out, they're all based on areas of unique experience for MJ. So again, he says there's new products coming out, and all this, obviously cost of goods sold, the amount of employees they had, the SG&A, all of that stuff. The outside consultants were hurting, their costs, and they were spending more than they were taking in. But you also have to think they were hiring all these brand companies for the US, and they were buying facilities in the US. And currently HEXO sells through Molson Coors JV's Trust CBD USA with Molson Coors in the US. They sell to 26 different states shipping. They have 3 different states in the US that they have retail. So HEXO's already selling products in 26 different states. The reason why they're taking so much losses is because they're building the foundation. They're number 1 in Canada, and they already have the foundation built and ready to go for the US once federally permissible, but it doesn't even matter because they're selling products in 26 different states right now through hemp CBD, right? So they have the plan to, they have that plan to get them by until the US legalizes, and then the sky's the limit really from there, right? So again, you're not comparing apples to apples with HEXO and Tilray and other MJ companies, because maybe Canopy, maybe Curaleaf for the only, 3rd and 4th closest ones to them. But HEXO and Tilray are already number 1 and number 2 in Canada, and they are built for global expansion. They're ready to go. And we know Germany's going to be legalizing soon as well. And Tilray has 20% market share, and HEXO is going to be sourcing their products from Tilray for international. So we're looking really good here. We're looking really, really good now that he said the balance sheet is under control. The SG&A costs are coming down, cost of goods sold. It's looking really, really good. So the new products coming out, if Tilray one day decides to acquire us, they are going to acquire the best MJ company in the world. Who has been saying this for 2 years that HEXO is by far the best MJ company in the world and the most exciting opportunity in MJ? That would be broad with powder, right? And if they don't, they've made a great strategic investment to get their return on their business as the stock goes up, right? So again, just because they have the option to buy 48% of HEXO's equity in their shares doesn't mean they will. And if they don't, they're going to collect 20 million a year in interest, plus synergies of 40 million a year, and over the next few years split between the two, so a total of 80 million. And if they don't, imagine if they don't merge the companies together, imagine if HEXO goes, for every dollar HEXO goes up, Tilray is going to make, I forget the exact number now, but I think it's like 400 or 500 million. So if HEXO goes back up to like $5, right, that's like a $1 billion worth of profit from that return on investment in HEXO and their share price appreciation, right? So this is really good for Tilray. This is really good for HEXO, number one and number two working together. Let me know if you're excited. In the meantime, the debt purchase deal with Tilray helps keep HEXO going. How has that deal changed, and how are you doing business? And just so you know, a lot of these, they didn't ask a lot of hard questions. Again, they kind of play in T-ball where they just throw it up for them, and nothing really asked that we didn't already hear before. But I can assure you, if I do get an interview with Charlie Bowman or anybody at HEXO, I'll be asking the tough questions, and I'll be reaching out to the community as well, which I've already done. And I've already got a list compiled of like 20 different questions. Obviously, I can't ask 20 or 30 questions in a short interview, but I'll narrow it down to a few, but I'll definitely be asking the tough questions. So, no question, the way HEXO's debt was structured to afford to acquire those companies was not sustainable, so it had to be reworked. What it allowed us to do is they have some very strong areas which we can tap into for shared services, and in return for that, I can remove those costs within our organization. Again, another very key point. We run our own show. So listen to this. We run our own show. We run our own operations. It allows us to get some synergy without them acquiring us. The debt structure, yeah, it was tough. It was burning up so much cash, and the way of which that debt structured was being paid, that we would pay in shares. And that's what I mentioned earlier, the monthly redemption, right? And then those shares would basically be placed into the marketplace that drove our stock down. So we had to get rid of that debt structure and the way those payments were going. The good news is that it's now been resolved, right? There's so much positivity from this article. We come back to those specialty chemical industry principles, which enable us to take what is the unique structure function. In this case, it's around MJ and how you deliver to your customers. And I used to work for a pharmaceutical company, and they have their own MJ division now, and everybody's getting into it. Like it's huge, right? To where you want to become part of their solution and part of their uniqueness to the marketplace. And so far, the market has responded extremely well. We had a good Q4. So that is extremely important to take note of as well. You're making yourself available to the media now. I would agree, right? We got somewhat spoiled, right? We've got 2 interviews now, and no one was doing interviews, right? No one at HEXO, but yeah, HEXO is the number one retail attention. And I did polls, right? I did polls on the community tab. I said, what's your biggest MJ position? And a lot of people said HEXO, and I just have to go down a little bit to find it. But yeah, so 65% of you who are on here voting said HEXO is your biggest one. And then I asked how many people are from the United States that own HEXO. And 61% of you say that you live in the US and you haven't even tried HEXO's products yet. Maybe you tried Trust CBD USA there from the hemp products with Molson Coors, but you haven't gotten to try any of their really good products, which are, the ones here in Canada. So that's pretty incredible when you think about it, right? And they're getting so much retail attention, and they barely do any interviews, right? I've been chasing them for years, for at least a year now, trying to get an interview, and they're finally starting to make themselves available. Imagine what's going to happen when they start doing conference calls and more of these interviews, right? Imagine what's going to happen when Pow Group gets to interview and ask them the tough questions, the questions that I know all of you have and that I have as well, that they may not be able to answer, but at least they may give us some color, or at least we ask the question, right? Because like I said, I don't tell people, I don't try to do the smoke and mirrors game. You know what I mean? I don't try to fluff things up. I don't care if it's awkward or, anything like that. I want to find out the truth, and my channel will grow as fast. And I've said this time and time again, and I'll continue to say it. My channel will grow as fast as it will grow based on me telling the truth and nothing but the truth, right? I want to uncover the truth, and there's still a lot of questions left unanswered. But yeah, I can guarantee I'll be asking the tough questions. But again, we're starting to see, and that usually happens, right? When MJ is nearing a bottom and is starting a new bull market, that's when the media starts doing interviews and conference calls with CEOs, like 4 different CEOs on a panel and things like that, right? And then in the bear market, everybody just goes MIA, non-existent, right? And I think that's because it's part of the mainstream media's plan. It's part of the Wall Street, crooks plan to just, completely forget about it. And then investor sentiment goes down, and then retail starts forgetting about it as well when that's the most opportune time to buy, right? So now that you're making yourself available to the media, even though you have the #1 retail attention, even at a time when HEXO is perhaps not getting the most positive media attention, it's not just HEXO, there's barely any MJ attention right now. But yes, still very impressive that HEXO has this much retail attention and they're not doing any interviews right now. They're just starting. Imagine what's going to happen when they're starting to pump them out left, right, and center. So as CEO, what's your thinking behind that media strategy? HEXO went under a blanket for a period of time, which was not conducive. A lot of changes were going on. If you don't frame that narrative, somebody frames it for you. We have to start sharing the message and let the spears and the arrows be chucked toward you. That goes with the job. But the other side of it is this is really a really sound company now, and that's important to note as well. But I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments. But do you like this new CEO, Charlie Bowman? I think he's a straight shooter. I think he's perfect for the job so far. He's American. He's got the background. He looks like he's good with the media. He's very calm and composed and collected. Yeah, I love the guy, to be honest with you, so far. And Charlie, if you're listening, like I said, would love to have you on the show and keep that media attention going. Right? We'll get it up. We have HEXO's the most owned stock by the retail investors in Pow Group, according to polls. And most of those investors are from the US. So I'm excited. Let me know in the comments if you guys are excited. But truly, the truer words have never been spoken. It is the best MJ company on the planet, right? And it has the foundation laid for global expansion. I think Tilray and HEXO working together, #1, #2, just like Apple and Microsoft, whenever they were shaping their industry at the beginning. We're going to see these two companies just absolutely dominate on a global level. We're going to have #1 and #2 companies working together. They're already built for global expansion, #1 and #2 in Canada, right? #1 and #2 in Canada. Already have the foundation built, ready to go for the US once federally permissible, and Tilray with 20% market share in Germany, and HEXO going to be sourcing products from Tilray for international, excluding Canada and US, right? So it's looking really, 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 really good, right? There's not even a close third to these two, in my opinion. But I did want to bring up, there was something I did in an interview. You can check that out. But I also did some technical analysis. I said, where to now? So I'm not going to dive in too much to the technical analysis in this video. I will give my thoughts and opinions because that came out a little early yesterday. I'll give my update. But if you want some full analysis on HEXO, I did say that I expected to pull back to around 22 cents. And that was a couple days ago. So I gave everybody a heads up once we lost 25 cents. And then that came to be. But one thing I'll note is the S&P 500 closed near the low of the week, and we haven't consolidated really since back here on the week of July 11th. So it's been 5 weeks in a row. We're going on the 6th week. I think we're going to see headwinds in the broader market, meaning we're going to probably be pulling back on the S&P 500. And what do I say as a rule of thumb? If the S&P 500 is down 1 or 2%, you can expect individual names to be down 3 to 4 times as much. So SPY was down yesterday 1.34%. So right, so 1.34 times, we'll say 3.5 is 4. Almost, we'll round it up to 5%. So each individual name should be down on average around 5%. Let's look at MJ. What's the average that we were down? About 5%, right? So again, if you're wondering why things are down, you got to look at the rest of the sector, and then you got to look at the S&P 500. Use that rule of thumb that I always tell you about. If SPY's down 1%, expect individual names, individual stocks to be down on average 3 to 4 times as much. Again, it doesn't always work out that way. News and things like that can change things, but that's on average is what you can expect. So if we're going to expect a pullback to around 412, 407 here, backtest those EMAs, which would just be healthy. We're in a weekly uptrend, but we need that higher low to continue that support level, right? We can't go straight up forever, or we're going to see a big waterfall down. We might even lose the EMAs, and if we do, we could easily pull back to that 20 cent area on HEXO. And we know that HEXO is still in a daily uptrend as long as that support holds at 20 cents. So again, with the broader market weakness, I did want to see a candle close this week over 21 cents. We got it. So we are remaining bullish here on the weekly time frame, but we can't lose sight of the fact that SPY is likely due for weekly consolidation. Bitcoin just started weekly consolidation. I was screaming from the rooftops. I said 25K was an extremely important level. We're rejecting from EMA 12 and we have these upper wicks. I said, don't be surprised if we pull back, 10, 20%. Here we are 15% on Bitcoin starting weekly consolidation. Haven't done it in 5 weeks. So on the 6th week it started and we've been very correlated, the crypto market to the tech sector and the S&P 500. So again, Bitcoin on its 6th week, finally starting weekly consolidation. SPY's going on its 6th week in a row on the weekly bounce without any consolidation. Are we going to see weekly consolidation on SPY into Monday? I think so. And the key level to be watching will be 421.22. If we lose that on the S&P 500, we start weekly consolidation and we'll more than likely anticipate a pullback to around the 410 to 405 area. Personally, I think that's the most likely scenario. I say 80% chance of playing out. And then that'll probably bring HEXO down to the 20 cents, maybe even the 19 cent area. So don't be surprised. Yes, we closed bullish on the weekly time frame. Like I said, I was looking for over 21 cents, but that doesn't mean that we can't start the week off a little weak and pull back with the broader market next week and then recover midweek into the end of the week. But at the end of the day, we closed over 21 cents. And as long as we continue to close over that 10-week moving average, you can see nothing goes straight up forever. And we were resistance, getting above it here. And we almost got above it here. But the difference is it was a double top and it was a bull trap and we didn't confirm and get follow through on the weekly uptrend. We now have a weekly uptrend. We just need follow through. And you can see here when we came back and we back tested old resistance, we tried to confirm new support. We lost it, confirmed a resistance once again, dropped to a new weekly lower low, downtrend continuation. Here we're back testing the 10-week moving average as support. This is good. So we'll want to see us back test it, hold it as support, and then ultimately close the week again next week over that 10-week moving average. If we do that, we're changing what was once resistance for the longest time, right? The last 18 months. And the longer the accumulation, the greater the expansion, right? The longer the base, the higher in space. So we're coiling up and we're likely going to see an explosive move over the next 2 to 3 months, in my opinion. And I mean to the upside. Could we see another potential leg down if SPY goes down? Yes, we could, right? But I think over the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to see a massive rally, not just in HEXO, but in MJ stocks. But we're back testing that 10-week moving average. We want to see it hold as support. It's looking good so far. And like I said, as long as we continue to close over that next week. But don't be surprised if we do pull back to that 20 cent, 19 cent area. If we lose 21 cents on Monday, we start weekly consolidation and we just look for a higher low compared to 18 cents, right? So the weekly uptrend will be intact as long as 18 cents hold. So that, in my opinion, is going to be the support level to be watching. And the resistance level to be watching is going to be 30 cents. We can get over 30 cents. We're likely targeting EMA 26 that are there around 45 cents, which we have nothing nearby on the weekly moving averages until 76 cents. But see here, the 100-day is at 30 cents and then nothing until 56 at the 200-day moving average. So like Charlie mentioned in his first interview, not the last one, but the one before that I covered and gave my commentary on, he said he's looking at getting the stock back up to around 40, 50 cents. So I really do think that over the next couple months, we're going to see a move back up to that 200-day moving average. Again, not just on HEXO, but a lot of our MJ names are going to trend back to those moving averages. You take a look at GTII, it's in a weekly uptrend as well. And look, it's heading back to its 200-day moving average. Whoops, it's not the one. You can see here it's already getting close to its 100. And I think we're targeting $20 there. But if HEXO does the same, that would bring us up to around 56 cents USD. This is on the NASDAQ, but I think we're ultimately going to be heading up to around the $1 area. I think $1 is very doable between now and the end of November leading into the end of the year. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And again, if you want more detailed analysis on HEXO, go check that out. I would encourage you that you do so. But again, we're just looking for more potential weakness to start the week, as SPY will likely see weakness in the S&P 500 and then come down, form a weekly higher low. It'll just be healthy. And yeah, that's why looking at these charts, understanding the basics. And if you don't understand charts, you don't have to. That's kind of the whole reason why I created Power Group, right? But we'll get into the comments here. So happy Saturday, everybody. I have 16,280 at 130. Do you think it will come back? Yep, absolutely. I think we could, like I said, get back up to that 50-cent area pretty quickly. And then on the high end, I think we're going to see around $1 between now and the next few months. HEXO already said, I mentioned, just read it for you in that interview with MJ Biz Daily, that they have new products coming out that are very exciting. And they also could announce the CPG partner. They could also announce any other kind of news that we don't really know about yet. And they could also see some momentum, positive momentum to the upside from any kind of safe banking legalization progress in the US, right? We also know that, just one sec, guys. I have my guests coming in the Airbnb. You gotta let them in. All right, had a guest checking into my Airbnb. It's going really well. It's just busy. I can't believe how well it's actually going. So super happy that I did that. But back on track here. So yeah, I think that we could couple that with any safe banking. I think safe banking has a very good chance of passing before the end of the year. Again, we got to get Wall Street banks positioned right before retail can buy it, right? The market's manipulated. So you got to get the Goldman Sachs of the world, the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanley. We know Morgan Stanley just upped their position in Tilray by 200%, right? We got to get safe banking so that they can invest in these OTC MJ names in the US. And then once the Wall Street crooks get positioned, then they'll say, okay, JP Morgan isn't even allowing some of their clients to buy OTC, right, and MJ stocks. So once they're positioned, they'll be like, okay, we passed safe banking. It was for the people, right? We did it for you. But we all know that that's a crock of crap, right? It's so that they can manipulate the market, right? So yeah, couple that with any safe banking, which I think has a very good chance of passing it into the end of the year. We could easily see these names back at their monthly EMA 26s, which would bring HEXO to about $3. So I think 50 cents should be pretty easily doable. Like Charlie Bowman said, just with the new products coming out and some of the SG&A, the cost of goods sold, everything that they're working on, cutting down that outside consultants and getting their balance sheet in order. I think 50 cents is pretty much baked in. We can see that real soon. And then on the low end, I think $1 between now and the end of the year. And on the high end, if we get any safe banking, coupled with CPG partner, new products, all that stuff, next 1 to 2 quarters should show a drastic improvement in SG&A and a ton of things like that with regards to their financials. We could easily, in my opinion, see $2.50 to $3 if we get safe banking as well. So if we get safe banking, target $2.50, $3. If we don't get safe banking, maybe $1 into the end of the year, and then regain compliance with the NASDAQ. And what else? Yeah, anything, right? Anything could happen. But personally, I think that they're gonna make a move back up to around 50 cents pretty soon. And then, like I said, $1, $3 on the high end into the end of the year. 1,112 at 24-cent average. I am FNG. I don't know what that. I'm not familiar with that abbreviation. But that's a great average. Thanks for joining the stream, David. Double David. Liftoff is coming. I think so. 15,000 at 169. We'll be averaging down one last time in 3 weeks. Other than the fact that HEXO has an interview, the fact that the HEXO interview was not with Rod, I was very happy to hear from Charlie. Still feeling bullish here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, who knows? Maybe one day we'll finally get Power Group. I mean, I said HEXO was the best MJ company before Charlie even started working for HEXO. So I think they owe it to me. Any chance it can reach $3 anytime soon? My average is $3.50, and I'm not sure till when to hold. Yeah, so like I said, I think that $1 is possible if we don't get safe banking into the end of the year, and then I think $3 is extremely possible by the end of the year if we get safe banking, which we've only got like 28 legislative days left in the year, 27 now maybe. But we have the August recess coming up here at the end of the month, and leading into October, November, into those midterms, we could see massive upside. And again, if we get safe banking passed, $3 might not stop there, right? We have basically no resistance on the monthly. If we bring up the monthly chart here, no resistance on the monthly until $1, monthly EMA 12, and then EMA 26 there at $3. But on the price action, we have no resistance until $7.55. So like I said, this is why if you're not sure if you should, when you should hold, that tells me that you didn't have a plan. So that is like the first thing you need to do. So before you hit a buy or sell button, you need to have a plan, right? So now what I would encourage you to do is grab one of these trusty old pen and pieces of paper and write down my HEXO game plan. And maybe you could have a long-term plan and a short-term plan, right? So have it. I personally have HEXO in a long-term account, which is my TFSA, which you're not supposed to day trade or overtrade in there. You could risk flagging your account and giving back all your gains. So I don't do that in a TFSA. I just buy and hold. My long-term plan is buy and hold, not sell until the US legalizes. Simple as that. Your long-term plan could be 3 years. I'm going to hold for 5 years. I'm going to hold for 10 years. I'm going to hold for 20 years, right? Whatever it is. Maybe you set a timeline. Maybe you set a price. Maybe you set an event. Mine is based on an event, and that's US legalization. But I also have HEXO in a shorter term account where I have take profit levels. So I just bought some HEXO at under 20 cents. So then I said, okay, in my short term account, first take profit is $2.50. Then I bought some around 40 cents. I said, okay, second take profit is at $5, then $7.50, then $10. Then that way, if US legalization takes forever and we go up to $5 and $10 and then HEXO comes all the way back down to $5 or $1 again, I took profit in my short-term account, right? So yeah, if your average is $3.50, you're probably not going to sell before then. But you know, you could, there's a ton of different things, but I would encourage you to write down your game plan, maybe even have a long-term account and a short-term account. My short-term's an RSP here in Canada, which is a registered retirement account, and you pay taxes when you take it out, so you can trade. You can day trade if you want, make those tons of trades inside that account because it's taxed when you take it out. But in my TFSA, I don't touch it. I let it sit, and I'm not touching until the US legalizes, right? So I would say your weekend homework should be to write a game plan, right? Have a short-term game plan, long-term game plan. Maybe have it in a separate account as well, depending. I'm not sure if you're American or Canadian, but yeah, you need to factor that in and what works best for you, right? But yeah, hopefully that helps. Rod, I do wonder what your plan is going into the American elections. Will you sell and protect any potential pot earnings around November 9th? So yeah, I think I just answered your question. So I've got MJ, not just HEXO, but I've got MJ in a long-term account. I'm not selling any of that until the US legalizes. It's a lot less money as well, so I don't really care about it, right? I just only log in to buy, and it's simple. I dollar cost average. I buy on each new low. When we're down, another 10, 20%. If we're down 10, 20%, I'll log in. I'll buy a little bit more. And again, I'm not touching that one at all until the US legalizes, until I'm financially enticed to do so and the US legalizes, right? And we see that run up into legalization. And then I'm going to probably buy back in after it drops back down. It's not like I'm going to be out forever, right? In my long-term holdings, I'm just going to look to exit and then rebuy cheaper. That's essentially the goal there. And then I'll also rebalance. I probably won't put in the same amount of money, right? If I grow that long-term portfolio up to, $100,000 or $200,000 and I take it out and I go to rebuy cheaper, well, I might only put 50 back in, right? And then I'll look to maybe put that into other tech stocks or rotate it into other areas that haven't run, maybe some crypto, right? So again, we'll reassess that at the time, right? But my plan hasn't changed in 2 years or 3 years, however long ago that I made it up, probably going on 3 years now in my long-term account. And I'm just gonna hold, maybe even closer to 4 years now. But I'm just gonna hold that. And then my shorter term account, like I said, I bought some sub 20 cents. I bought some around 40 cents. I bought a lot around $1. I bought a lot around $2, right? I've been just dollar cost averaging. So the amount that I bought at 20 cents and under, my first take profit's $2.50. And then, I won't sell any until then. I'm not selling anything in any of my accounts until my $2.50 price target is hit, or US legalizes and we see the run up for that, which will probably hit that as well, right? So hopefully that answers your questions. 10,750 at 43 cents. That's a great average. And you're in the 10K club. Yeah, I'm at 50,000 HEXO shares now, and my average is around $1.20, maybe close to $1 now Canadian. And I don't see any other questions. So we're going to wrap it up. We're at 40 minutes. This is different for a HEXO live stream, but going to take advantage of it. We'll wrap it up here. What is your average in HEXO, and how many shares do you hold? Hope you don't mind disclosing that info. So yeah, I think I just answered that. So yeah, I have the I have it in the long term and short term, but collectively 50,000 shares, and my average is 120. I think maybe closer to 115 now. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, going to end it there. Thanks everybody for joining the stream. Thanks everybody for your questions, and thanks for supporting me on my journey and on the channel. If you could smash like on the way out, if you think I deserved it today, I would appreciate it. Share the video with anybody that might find value in it as well. How many shares would you have to have in order to make $10,000 once it reaches $1? Well, there's a poll here on, I said, how much would your HEXO bag be worth if we reach $3? And I'm in the 200,000K club, 200,000 club dollars. 24% said they would have, if HEXO goes back to $3 USD, they said that their HEXO would be worth $300,000. So how many shares would you have to have in order to make $10,000 once it reaches $1? Like right now it's at what? 22 cents. So, give me 1 sec, guys. Got my guest asking me a question. So how many shares would you have to have in order to make $10,000 plus once it reaches $1? Well, you'd have to have 10,000, right? You have 10,000 shares and it's $1, that's $10,000, right? So if you want to get 10,000 shares divided by 22 cents, sorry. Yeah, anyway, I want to keep this stream shorter because, like I said, we're keeping it the stream short. But yeah, if you want to have $10,000, you need to have 10,000 shares. So yeah, I have 50,000 shares. So again, 50,000 shares. If the price goes to $3, that's like almost $200,000, right? So I'm technically, I guess I would be in the 100,000 club, but I just rounded it up to 200,000. But I might even have a little over 50,000 shares now, but closer to 200,000. So I put 200,000. But yeah, there's a lot of people that saying if we go to $3 again, their HEXO bag is going to be worth $300,000 and more, right? So if you forgot to share the screen there, but yeah, there's the poll there. But yeah, you need to have 10,000 shares, right? 10,000 times $1 equals $10,000. I got tripped up with your question there because I was overcomplicating it, and like Tenet was asking me a question. But yeah. Thank you for giving us confidence. You're welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for your support as always. Thanks again, Rod. Happy weekend all. When HEXO hits $20, we just have a powwow party somewhere fun. Yeah, we've got a pow party planned in the works, and yeah, I'm sure we can have it a lot quicker before $20. But yeah, imagine. So you have. Let's bring this up real quick here. So imagine HEXO hit $20 and you have 50,000 shares. That's $1 million. So how much money do you really need to make a life-changing wealth, right? But yeah, happy Saturday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks. You're welcome. Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome. If HEXO reaches $3, how much will be the market cap? Well, you just go to Yahoo Finance, HEXO, take a look at the amount of shares they have. I think it's 621 million. Outstanding shares, 601 million. That's what it was. So 601 million times $3, just under $2 billion, which I think they already hit that at one point. They had less shares and things like that as well. But yeah, easily a $5 to $10 billion company, right? It's not going to stop there, in my opinion. Cheers. All right. Cheers, David. Cheers, everybody else. And have a great weekend. Going to end it there. Still 30 people or more here after 45 minutes. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate it. If you could smash the like on the way out, I would appreciate that very much. Share the video with anybody that might find value and tick the bell, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.